President Trump there amid a symphony of hammers and saws, speaking to reporters after giving them a tour of the ballroom construction project there at the White House. He called the ballroom a gift to the country, saying he is on budget and emphasizing the safety requirements for the building. He also spoke about Iran, saying that Iran is begging to make a deal, but that he may have to strike the country again. He said yesterday he was just 1 hour away from making the decision for U.S. forces to start striking Iran again today, before the president decided to call off those attacks to keep negotiating.
Chaos appeared to erupt outside the White House as Donald Trump reacted to Iran's latest threats with a fiery public meltdown. Standing beside the construction zone of his new Golden Ballroom, Trump insisted the building would be strong enough to withstand drone attacks and ballistic missiles, even calling it an ideal lookout point for snipers. Earlier in the day, reports claimed Iran was preparing massive retaliation plans targeting Gulf oil infrastructure, ports, refineries, and water plants if Washington launches new strikes. Iran's Revolutionary Guard escalated the rhetoric further by threatening the UAE and warning Abu Dhabi could face occupation. At the same time, the Houthis signaled moves toward blocking the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, potentially opening another major front in the conflict. Trump then shifted blame toward Democrats, arguing they were undermining his efforts to negotiate and making the crisis harder to control.
It's the Democrats. They're dumb. It's a new name. It's a very accurate name. So I'm in the middle of a negotiation. I'm saying you cannot have a nuclear weapon. And it comes over the wire that the Democrats want to stop Trump from further negotiations. They want to stop Trump from, if he has to, giving them another slap. They want to have a nuclear weapon to blow up the Middle East and to blow up, frankly, the world.
Things became even more awkward when a reporter asked Trump how many days Iran has left in his mind before a deal must happen. Trump appeared unsure, replying, maybe 2 days, maybe next week, maybe the week after, before conceding that he doesn't really know when or if it will happen.
Well, I mean, I'm saying 2 or 3 days, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something, maybe early next week, a limited period of time. Because we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would start with Israel. They would blow it up, and they would blow it up fast. But they'd blow.
Donald Trump then described what he claimed were urgent calls from Iran and neighboring countries, saying they repeatedly told him, "Sir, we'll be able to close the deal." The moment quickly turned into another one of Trump's dramatic retellings of private conversations.
But I got a call yesterday, sir, could you wait? We think we're close to a deal. And that's okay. Now, I've heard it before with these people, and they change their mind. I made deals with them, no nuclear. We immediately get the nuclear dust. And they said, you're the only one can get it, because the bombers did such an unbelievable job that the mountain literally collapsed on top of it.
Donald Trump then posed outside the ballroom construction site holding a poster previewing the massive Golden Ballroom project, a proposal MAGA figures allegedly want funded using taxpayer dollars. As cameras rolled, Trump joked that the image made him look skinny and bizarrely referenced people supposedly commenting on his waist during his time alongside Xi Jinping.
It's so beautiful. See, I look so thin. They'll say, oh, he's gotten so thin because I'm holding this. You don't have to look at my waist. You can look at this. You saw enough of my waist along with President Xi.
Are you confident that you can reach a diplomatic deal
with Cuba? I think so. Yeah, I think so. I am very prone toward the Cuban Americans.
In China, Vladimir Putin was receiving a high-profile welcome for a 2-day summit with Xi Jinping, with Chinese officials reportedly preparing nearly 40 signed agreements tied to a new global alliance strategy. The meeting was framed around the idea of building a multipolar world order, a message clearly aimed at challenging American dominance. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was standing outside the White House talking about how his ballroom project would create the greatest drone empire ever seen to protect Washington from Iran. The bizarre remarks quickly overshadowed the event, with critics openly questioning Trump's leadership and judgment.
If they had won the election, our country would have been destroyed. Our country was a dead country 2 years ago, and now we have really the hottest country in the world. And this is the ballroom, and it's going to be something incredible. You see the quality of it. And they go right, those columns go right into the roof. And on top of the roof, we're going to have the greatest drone empire that you've ever seen, and it's going to protect Washington. Thank you all very much.
Mr. President.
We have a little breakfast for you.
Really?
Yeah. Where is the breakfast? I'd have it.
That's
Where is
so
it?
kind of you.
It's right over there. We have a little bit of a breakfast for you. I figured it'd be nice to you for sure.
The reporter pressed Trump on how close the United States came to attacking Iran after Trump claimed regional leaders begged him to pause military action and give negotiations another chance. Trump insisted the strike was only an hour from being carried out.
I was an hour away. We were all set to go. You're talking about yesterday.
Yes.
We were going to be striking it would have been happening right now. Yeah, it was all done. Right? The boats, the ships are all loaded. They're loaded to the brim.
Trying to defend the idea, Trump claimed the ballroom was designed to withstand drone strikes, saying drones would just bounce off the structure. He went on to call it a drone port and seemed frustrated that reporters weren't grasping his vision.
Developed in such a way that we can have military there, but the entire roof is developed for military. They're very high. They're higher than just about anything else. They have a 360-degree vision of Washington, D.C. They have a massive drone capacity. Not only is it drone-proof, if a drone hits it, it bounces off. It won't have any impact. But it's also meant as a drone port, so it protects all of Washington, the roof of the building.
Also, we've got the ability to have great sniper capacity also. Of course, not for the enemy snipers, but for our snipers. The enemy snipers are not allowed on the roof. The only thing which is allowed to be there are our snipers. The man who's going crazy. Yes, the missile proofing and drone capacity upstairs, we can have everything military related there, and yes, we've got great sniper capacity also. But it's made for our snipers, not the enemy snipers, obviously. And also because of the great height of the building, we've got a very good view of the entire city of Washington. Yes, even the president can be seen from here. And after this, he said, "Look, we have taken parts of this building from other parts of the world. Do you see this? It's Rome. And this is from Greece. Let it play." Again, it's taking the best classical buildings of the world and putting them into different parts of this building, which is used for very glamorous purposes. Rome likes this flat room, while Greece has its triangle-like facades. And here you can see that this is a porch that faces the city. Also, it's developed in such a way that we can have military in this place. In this case, it's fully devoted for military purposes. The roofs are very high. They are even higher than almost everything else. They have got the 360-degree vision of Washington, D.C. And after this, he said, "And here you have, look, this belongs to Greek or it is taken out of Greece. This is directed to the treasury. This is Rome. You have two facades here. Let it play." Also, you should know that they have faced many catastrophes with this. So here we have this. If you look at this particular section facade, this is the Greek in general. So this facade is from Greece. This is a facade taken from Greece, and it is directed to the Treasury building. Here you see a different facade. It's Rome, and it's directed to the Washington Monument, or the Lincoln Memorial, and so on. As you can see, you have two facades mainly. Here you have two entrances. However, the main entrance is through the White House directly. After this, the man talked about the reflecting pool. Now it's called the reflecting lake. And he said Obama and Biden, they were trying to make the reflecting lake so badly they could not. But nobody can make the reflecting lake better than I can. Nobody. Nobody can make fountains better than I can. I make the best fountains everywhere in DC. Here, water fountain. We didn't have any water fountain. We had 40, but in Washington we didn't have any fountain that worked well. But soon enough they are all going to start working. Actually, most of them already work. Also, one of the best achievements which I have done is this. Obama and President Biden have spent much more than $100 million on the reflecting lake between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. They've spent much more. Some people say 200 million. You know, what did they have for their money? They had a closed lake. It has never been opened. Whenever it was open, it was immediately closed. It has leaked. It was an absolute catastrophe, but I am making a job in the reflecting lake for much lesser money than they've spent. Also, Trump has made the claim that the reflecting pool, or the reflecting lake, is going to be waterproof. This lake is going to be waterproof. Here I am making a job in the reflecting lake for much lesser money than they've paid. Well, I have upgraded it really well. I got so into it. Actually, I am making it much better. I am making all walkways outside. Actually, it's a much bigger job, but see, it's getting better. It's going to be waterproof. It's going to be reflecting again. So, I took over a filthy thing that wasn't open, and it was gross. And, some friends would come over to the Lincoln or to the Washington, and they'd say, "Sir, this place is disgusting." And I'd say, "What's disgusting?" And they reflect, and then a reporter says, like, everything you're doing in Iran, you're doing there, it's so deeply unpopular. Have you ever thought of explaining it to the American people? What are you doing? Like, we don't know what you're doing. You know what Trump's like. I don't have to explain it to anyone. I just need to get it done. I don't need to explain it to Congress. I don't need to explain it to the American people. I'm concentrating on my ballroom. Well, I'm not trying to do anything here. Listen, everybody says it's unpopular, but when they realize you're talking about nuclear weapons, weapons that can take out Los Angeles, weapons that can take out our major cities very quickly, when they realize that it's becoming very popular. When we explain it to people, you know what I mean. I don't really have time to explain to people. I'm just too busy getting it done. When they understand, I think it becomes very popular. And whether it's popular or not popular, I've got to do it because I'm not letting the world explode in my watch. And now you have, as I reported earlier this morning, Trump has held off on further strikes, partly because Pentagon officials warn that Iran has been adapting to the US air campaign. Remember, I was talking about this over the weekend. The New York Times reported on it yesterday. All of those MQ-9 Reaper drones being shot down and being detected also over Qasem Island, Yeah, and yesterday the New York Times has confirmed that Iran had studied flight patterns of American fighters and bombers, maybe with Russian assistance, making American operations in their area a little bit more predictable and therefore making their own air defense much more effective. Downing an F-15 and damaging an F-35 shows that it was starting to become a danger for American planes flying there. And so what does Donald Trump do in response to that? Again, extend the lifting of the sanctions against Russian oil. Naturally, since Russia is helping to attack America and go after America and kill American allies, you know what you have to do? Give Russia oil help. This is Donald Trump's policy. Then you have Donald Trump giving a speech in front of the ballroom saying, "This, I paid for all of it myself. This is my gift to you. You didn't pay for any of it. And now you want the taxpayers to pay for it at $1 billion. You don't have to do it that way." So all of this was paid for by myself, and, I've been hearing that you guys are saying that, we're making a gift of this one, right? This is a gift, This is not going to be paid for by the taxpayer. Meanwhile, while Donald Trump is doing all of whatever the hell that he was just doing, the top NATO commander in Europe, General Alexis Grinkovich from the United States, he talks about removing the US troops, the US committed troops from NATO in Poland and Germany. Here's what he has to say. Emily, in accordance with President Trump's announcement, 5,000 troops will be coming out of Europe. As I mentioned in my opening comments, a fair number of those come from the Armored Brigade Combat Team, which is returning. And US has already announced that the deployment of the Long Range Fires Battalion will be curtailed and will not begin occurring. There are some other additional minor elements which will shift also. The planning is still ongoing about that for another several hundred troops. And so we can talk about that, but the total number will be 5,000. And this morning we also learned, although we didn't have to know the story, the Government Accountability Office, in their latest audit of the Trump regime's first year, showed that fraud, abuse and wastage actually increased by 13% last year. Despite all those announcements from Elon Musk and Doge about cutting $1 trillion from the budget, that is reported as well by the Government Accountability Office and MarketWatch about what the GAO wrote. Wastage by the US federal government amounted to about $153 billion. That is a 13% increase year over year. And when you do this kind of project, of course, that is bound to happen. Alligator Alcatraz closed after 1 year of wasting $1 billion to house 1,400 immigrants. This cost about $714,000 for every immigrant that the US was trying to cage. But the military-industrial complex profited out of this. And now we've got that 30-year Treasury note yield has increased to 5.18%, the highest level since July of 2007. These Treasury notes cannot sustain these yields anymore. Right, these yields are unsustainable. The increase in our debts right now is increasing rapidly, and the Treasury is going to have to take emergency measures. I think they're already doing that behind the scenes. But anyway, I want to leave you with this too, because as I have been mentioning throughout, everything about the Trump regime is lying and cover-ups. And remember those US KC-135 Stratotanker planes which collided in midair in Iraq on March 12, killing 6 people? Pentagon said that the skies were friendly, no hostile fire, everything was okay. But according to the initial intelligence reports, there had been some Iranian-backed militia firing against the planes, anti-aircraft weapons in the area at the time, and it was very likely that the pilots took some evasive maneuvers and hence led to this crash. And of course, military leadership said this is mistaken reports, but everything about the Trump regime is a cover-up and lying. That was reported in Atlantic this morning. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Hit subscribe. Let us get to 7 million subscribers as always.